development consultants, financial consultants, the product of which would be a set of schematic design set for a small project with, floor plans, renderings, whatnot, and a financial model, which sometimes made sense, sometimes did not. Might be a $1.3 million project with a $1 million gap. So last year, CHAFA approached the Division of Housing to partner on up to 3 projects. They asked us to set aside $3 million to partner on up to 3 projects, where we could be a little bit more flexible, not instituting our typical subsidy per unit limits, just knowing that these small projects wouldn't really be able to access, low-income housing tax credit equity, say, right? Like the most successful funding mechanism, for affordable housing across the country. And so they approached us last year to partner. We were not really in a position to undertake that partnership last year as we were kind of, retooling our whole application process, moving into a competitive environment. And so we revisited it this year, proposed it to Maria. Maria said, let's do it. So Christy Budish from CHAFA is here to kind of talk a little bit about the really creative financing products that CHAFA created. So Christy, you want to give a little intro to those products?
Sure. Thanks. And thank you, everyone. I appreciate being here today. My name is Christy Budish. I'm Director of Community Development at CHAFA. And as Andrew mentioned, we had a really successful program with our technical assistance. But one of the things we realized was that many of these projects were unable to move forward because they weren't able to access appropriate funding resources to get these projects to the finish line. And that was because they were absent the equity that comes with the tax credit program. And because of their scale, they couldn't access that. It's a daunting proposition for projects that are maybe 4 to 10 or 15 or even 20 units. So CHAFA started looking at what we could do from our perspective. And the first thing we said is, well, we can bring concessionary debt to the table. So we created a concessionary debt program, but realized quickly that that wasn't going to be enough. They also needed equity. And so we created an equity program, and effectively we're bringing the remaining funds to the table. And we committed about $5 million to do that. And at the time, as Andrew mentioned, DOH wasn't in a position to move forward alongside us. So we said, well, we can do it for 2 projects. We can't do it all, but we were like, we can move 2 projects forward. And thankfully, Maria and Andrew came back to us and said, hey, we've got some money this year and we would love to move alongside next to you. And so we are happy to be here today to hear about the first of those projects, and happy to answer any questions about our product. But the equity product is equity-like in that we're funding the project with a long-term debt at 0%. We're taking a portion of the cash flow during the years that the debt is outstanding, but the anticipation is that there would be no repayment of that debt until the project is either sold or refinanced at some very far future date. So that's what it looks like.
So I will turn it over to James to introduce the Poplar Commons team now.
Well, hello, everybody. My name is James Russell, and I'm the Housing Development Specialist here in Colorado's Western Slope. You've already heard a lot about this project, so I'll keep this succinct. Poplar Commons is an 8-unit affordable housing development located in Hayden, Colorado, and is developed by the Hayden Municipal Housing Authority. This project, facilitated through CHAFA's Small-Scale Technical Assistance Program, is one of the Housing Authority's first affordable housing developments and addresses the critical shortage of workforce housing in this coal transition community. Poplar Commons is seeking $1.6 million in HDG funding to support the construction of these desperately needed rental units, serving families at around 70% of the area median income. As the community faces the 2027 and 2028 closures of the Hayden Station coal-fired power plant, a local major employer, this investment will help community members transition successfully by ensuring housing remains accessible for teachers, first responders, and essential workers. This project has secured strong local support, including the land donation valued at around $230,000 from the town and $2.66 million in financing through CHAFA's Small-Scale Technical Assistance Program, which you just heard us talk about. SAP recommends $1.6 million in HDG grant funding, and this project was underwritten by Sasha Neal, and the asset manager is Brittany Dickman. I have with me today Matt and Tegan from the Housing Authority to answer any questions and to give a small little highlight about the project. Matt, are you online? Are you online with us today?
I'm here.
Perfect.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
You can. So, yeah, I don't know how much better I could really do between James, Andrew, Christy, et cetera, but I will highlight a couple things. One, as they talked about, this is an 8-unit. We have, 4 512 square foot 1-bedrooms and 4 1,024 square foot 2-bedroom, arranged as 4 duplexes on this site. And this has been a really amazing project because, it's centrally located within our community. It's right next door to the Routt County Fairgrounds. Our major community park, just probably 2-minute walk from here, 2-minute walk down to Highway 40, where major bus traffic, an RTA was just approved in our community, so that mass transportation is going to be increasing over the next couple of years, and this will have direct, pretty much direct access to that. Almost all of the utilities are already on site and ready to go. Electric, high use efficiency heat pumps here. There's no natural gas to the site. And we're at 70% AMI or below. So we're really hitting kind of a unique target market that's very difficult to hit in in mountain communities, just like Hayden. And as you guys heard about the coal transition and all of those things, we're facing some pretty daunting things, and this housing project is going to help us put some good affordable housing in place to help people transition, as Russell spoke. And I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Great, thank you all. Thank you all for that presentation. Are there any questions from the board on Poplar Commons? Matthew, can you talk a little bit about the demand? It looks like you were creating 8 units at about 70% AMI. Do you have a sense for what that the demand looks like? Do you have any type of wait list?
Well, we don't have a wait list because we haven't actually, put it out. We need to get through some of these, funding things, et cetera, to make sure that's viable. But what I can tell you is our school district continues to have to turn, teachers won't take positions because they can't find housing. We have our fire department, same thing, childcare. We built a childcare facility, but it's very difficult for those people to find housing. We've had town employees, a lot of our town employees are living elsewhere. They're not living in town because they can't afford it. And so that's where this, that's just like upfront. And I'm guessing these will be completely full by the time, we actually say, okay, we're going to have these units, we're breaking ground, and we put it out there and go from there.
Okay, that's helpful. So this 70% AMI directly targets those teachers and the service employees that you're mentioning?
Absolutely. It's actually very specifically targeted towards kind of that, I'll call that economic demographic of, first year teachers, firefighters, some of those other folks in those ranges.
Great. Thank you. Thanks for addressing that question. Ryan Jones?
Yeah, and I may have missed this, but in addition to some variances from the underwriting standards that we usually see, I see that the energy efficiency is there's no certification. And can you just speak to that?
So we were kind of approaching this, the applications that would come forward with for this program would be in conjunction with CHAPA's technical assistance program. Would we like to see the programs, create the most energy efficient projects that they can? Definitely. But, these projects are so small that some of that comes with a cost that might, put that financing a little bit out of range. So that is, part of the flexibility we want to have for these smaller projects.
Yeah, and if I could just address, right now we've been targeting kind of I would call it a manufactured module. I think of Fading West. I use that name because everybody's heard, of them, but there's other companies doing this same thing. So these are being factory, hopefully factory delivered. And then, so there's a certain kind of product that just comes with that. But I mean, in terms of energy efficiency, I mentioned these are all electric homes, so from that standpoint, we're hoping that that kind of falls in line the best we can.
Sure. Thank you.
Great. Thank you all. The next presentation is Flour Mill, and presenting is Evan Samora.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here today. The Chaffee Housing Authority is requesting $1.1 million in HDG funding to support the construction of the Flour Mill Apartments, a 20-unit rental project serving households between 30 and 100% AMI in Salida. The Flour Mill is the first of 3 phases of the Flour Mill plan unit development, which is planned to be a mixed income development located on the east side of Salida. Something I'd like to point out is that the project is within every cost metric on our development cost ranges, and that the developer is only receiving a fee of 2.86%, which I think shows his commitment to the community. We're showing their commitment to the community. The Flour Mill Apartments was underwritten by Ashley Hertzler, and Brittany Thigpen is the asset manager. With us today is Marjo Kurgis, the executive director of the Chaffee Housing Authority, and Rob Gartzman, the developer of the Flour Mill Apartments. I will pass it to Marjo.
Good afternoon. I'm Marjo Kurgis, the Executive Director of the Chaffee Housing Authority. Thank you for considering the Flour Mill Apartments today. I'd like to thank Evan and Fallon and Ashley for their hard work on this funding request. We would not have had as strong a project without them. CHA serves Chaffee County in the heart of Colorado. This project is a vital part of our growing permanently affordable housing stock. With the help of the Housing Development Grant, we achieved an affordability level averaging 83.5% of area median income, partnering with mission-driven local developers like Rob Gartzman, and at a scale appropriate for a rural community is a critical strategy for addressing our housing needs. The Flour Mill Apartments will not only provide stable housing for Salida residents, but strengthen the social fabric of our community overall. We very much look forward to helping steward this project through the affordability period, and I will pass it to Rob.
Hi, my name is Rob Gartzman, and I'm the developer for the Flour Mill. My vision for the Flour Mill started as an employer in Salida. I'm a local entrepreneur and restaurateur and own and operate Sweetie's Sandwich Shop and the Biker and the Baker. 10 years ago, I saw the need for more housing affordability in our community, particularly for our workforce that shows up every day. Thanks in part to DOLA, CHAFA, Chaffee Housing Authority, and many others, we are going to build homes for our community and workforce. This apartment complex is the start of a large development that includes 70 units in total and will provide 100 people in our community an opportunity to rent and also purchase homes. We'll be here for a long time. Not only are we providing homes and benefits for our workforce, businesses, and community, but we are also showing our developers we can build affordably and anticipate this to be a model for ourselves and others to repeat. Our community needs this, and we appreciate the support from the state to help allow us to be there for them. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you for that presentation. I personally love Sweeties. Are there any questions from the board? I'll go ahead. I'd like to ask the same question that I asked on the previous deal. If you can just speak to the demand here, specifically the AMI, who you are targeting with this unit mix that you have proposed.
Marjo, would you like to take that one?
Sure. Always a good question. Our community overall, over 90% of our community mostly needs housing below 90% AMI. We are currently creating 13 units that are at 100%, 80%, and 30% of AMI. And the lease up on those we had just by announcing the applications had over For those 13 apartments, we had over 50 people sign up within 3 days for those apartments. We continue to see the need for our workforce. And I think this is in that sweet spot of affordability. If we start to get above, above 85, it starts to get into a little bit more market rate competition in the winter. And, what we need is long-term affordable housing. We have a large number of midterm rentals that are during our tourist season are unoccupied. And then in the summer, there's not enough housing for the workforce that is there year round, displaced, and then needs a place. So I think overall, we're right in that sweet spot for continuing to meet those needs. Rob did a great job in including a very deeply affordable unit of 30% AMI, which we're incredibly grateful for. And so the CHA will continue to support Rob in making sure that the apartments are both advertised and absorbed.
Well, that's helpful. And you mentioned that you were cautious to not compete with market rate. At what level AMI would you be concerned that you are competing with market?
Right around 100.
100. Okay.
Can I
Thank
just
you.
ask an ancillary question there? Based on Evan's notes, the rents at the 80% studios and then the 90% studios, I guess, are the underwritten rents are over market. So is that just a nuance and from seasonality and something else? Or in other words, how are you getting comfortable with that?
Yeah. Evan or
Yeah. I can start. So one of the issues that we identified during underwriting is that the market study had measured a very small snapshot in time. And the 2 studio apartments identified in the market study were priced substantially less than what I saw on Zillow. And right now, or at the time of underwriting, there were studio apartments in Salida at $2,500 a month. There's another one at 23. So I think when you look at it a little bit more holistically and not just a snapshot in the market study, these units are actually below what that market rate is.
Good deal. Thank you.
Great. Thank you all. Next up is Wind Trail Park, and Wayne McClary will be presenting.
Good afternoon, everyone. Wind Trail Park is an existing 50-unit apartment complex in Fort Collins. It's actually just south of the CSU campus. This project was originally built in 2001. It has about 13 residential buildings and 1 clubhouse, which will be part of the renovation. This is primarily for targeting families with 2 and 3 bedroom units. The average affordability for this development will be 43.8% of AMI. And the AMIs will range from 30 to 60%. The renovations will include adding central air conditioning, in-unit washers and dryers, other significant improvements. I won't get into the full list here, but will include new painting, interior and exterior, new flooring, and of course, the improvements to the clubhouse. This will help reposition this project as a higher quality asset. And Care Communities is both the applicant and the developer in this case. And they have worked with us on a number of other successful projects for DOH. They're currently requesting the underwriter is Ashley Hertzler, and together Matt and Ashley. Matt was the main developer on this, development specialist. Matt and Ashley are recommending $950,000 from DOH, and that amounts to about 5.5% of the overall capital stack, which is about $17 million. And the asset manager for this project is Andy Casca. And now here to present is Kim Owinski. If Kim is on the line.
Kim, I think you're on mute.
There we are. Having trouble. Hi, everybody. I'm Kim Iwanski. I'm the Director of Housing Development at Care Communities. I'm also joined today by Adam Morgan, our tax credit consultant. Thanks, Wayne. Great introduction to this project, and I thank you all for considering it for funding. As Wayne mentioned, the biggest improvement to this property will be air conditioning. The residents need it, have asked for it. It's never had air conditioning. It's been something that the residents are super excited about, as you can imagine. And also there's no on-site laundry, so we'll be providing those washers and dryers to each unit and replacing all the old appliances with high efficiency Energy Star rated appliances. All water fixtures will be replaced with low water use fixtures. There's a lot of site work needed. This is a property. The units are very spread out. There's a lot of need for concrete, parking lot, trash enclosures are kind of dilapidated. So we have a lot of work to do on the site as well as in the apartments. And Care Communities also has a robust resident services program. So we're going to be improving that clubhouse that you see in the photo right there, so that we can expand some of the space in it to provide more after school and summer youth programs, along with the resident education and engagement events that we have. This community is very engaged. We have a lot of families, and they don't want to leave it. So we've managed to keep open 8 vacant units for our relocation during the rehab, and but everybody else is very committed to staying on the site and coming back to the site after the renovation. I think that we've been also working very proactively with a BABA consultant on this project for more than 3 months, so that we can be ready to begin the rehab in March of next year.
Thank you. Thanks, Kim. Thanks, Wayne. Appreciate that presentation. LaDon.
It says on the slide, affordable units created, but it's really affordable units maintained, right? Or preserved?
Correct.
Okay.
Any other questions from the board?
Well, I have another one. So you said you have 8 vacant units right now. So you're phasing it where you're moving people, you're doing those first and then moving people there.
Correct. We have 8 vacant units to, we'll be renovating 8 at a time. So
Okay.
Right now we have enough open to move the first phase of people out and into those vacant units with the renovation.
And so will they be staying in the vacant unit, or will they eventually get back to their original unit?
They will go back to their original unit. So we'll
Okay.
use those 8 units and we'll keep rotating people in and out of those.
Okay. And then, like, I assume you help them with packing and moving and everything. That's all provided for them?
We do. We've hired a relocation specialist who's helping with all the communication and coordination with the moving company. They'll be provided with all of everything they need to pack, and then the moving company will move them out and then back in. It's quite an effort for them residents. It's a lot of work for them.
A lot of effort.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, LaDon. Hearing no other questions, we'll move on to the next project application, which is Tierra Azul Apartments, and presenting is Evan Samora.
Good afternoon again. The Community Resources and Housing Development Corporation is requesting $1.2 million in HDG funding to support the construction of the Tierra Azul Apartments, which will be a 46-unit LIHTC development serving households between 30 and 80% AMI. The Tierra Azul Apartments is the first phase of the mixed income Tierra Azul master planned development, which is planned to consist of 412 units. I want to mention that the broader development has benefited from $4.2 million in DOH TAG funding, $1.9 million in DLG Mineral Impact, and $1.5 million from Colorado Health Foundation funding. The Tierra Azul Apartments has been underwritten by Sasha Neal, and the asset manager is Andrew Kakska. With us today is Ty Coleman, Chief Operating Officer for the San Luis Valley branch of CRHDC, And Ty also just so happens to be the mayor of Alamosa. So I'm passing it to you, Ty.
Thank you, Evan. I'd like to thank Evan and the entire team for considering our project. More than 50 years ago, CRHDC began its work in the San Luis Valley, a region rich in culture, strong in community, and resilient in the face of deep economic challenges. From the very beginning, we've been driven by a powerful belief: every family deserves a safe place to call home. Our progress has been fueled by strong partnerships with the city, local businesses, and committed contractors. Together, we've helped shape Alamosa's landscape, building nearly 16% of its housing stock. In a community rich in spirit, but limited in resources, we continue to demonstrate that attainable, sustainable housing has the power to transform futures. The Tierra Azul Apartments will address one of our most urgent needs: quality multifamily housing. With so few rental options, families are forced to leave and employers struggle to attract workers. CDOH funding would make it possible for the first phase of multifamily homes to move forward, strengthening our local workforce, stabilizing families, and creating opportunities for growth. The Tierra Azul Apartments will serve families and individuals who make the San Luis Valley thrive. These homes will be income qualified for 30 to 80% of AMI, with their higher income units offering rents 15 to 41% below Chaffa maximums, making affordable living accessible to more people. From the teachers who guide our children to healthcare and city staff who serve Alamosa every day, this development will provide safe, attainable, multifamily homes for the majority of the households in our communities. Thank you and have a super fantastic day.
Thank you, Tyrone, for that wonderful presentation and team. This is, I have one comment, and this team is great, from the consultants, the architect to the lender. You have a really good team here. Any questions from the board? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to the next project application, which is the Foundry Phase 1. Presenting again is Wayne McClary.
The Foundry Phase 1 is a new construction homeownership project. This will be 36 units, which amounts to the first phase of a planned, eventually 120 units at full build out. Basically, this is adjacent to the current Greyhound development that Del West has previously worked on. That's the developer in this case. This project is located just west of Dick's Sporting Goods project. It consists of 2, 3, and 4 bedroom units for homeownership for small families, low-income families. Commerce City Housing Authority is the applicant. Del West is the developer, and the request is for approximately $2 million, which amounts to about $55,000 a unit and represents about 12.5% of the stack of the financing stack. Drew Stackhouse is the underwriter, and Bailey Tichy is the asset manager. And to give you some more information is Tracy Jones from Commerce City Housing Authority and Lizzie Delwicki from Del West.
Well, this is Lindsay Delecki at Del West. Tracy Jones should be on this call, but I'll let her jump in. Thank you very much for that introduction. We're very excited to bring some homeownership opportunities to Commerce City. In a couple weeks this month, we are closing on a Prop 123 land banking grant for the project. So this grant could be the catalyst to get this project started so we could break ground in 2026 and then deliver some new affordable homeownership opportunities in 2027. There are a couple noteworthy aspects of the Foundry that I'd like to mention. First, the Foundry could house up to 114 people in Phase 1, assuming a max capacity at 2 people per bedroom. Second, we've designed the project with multi-generational families in mind. With a third of all the units being ground floor only units, they can accommodate elderly family members who are not comfortable with stairs and would like an opportunity to age in place alongside their greater families. I see Tracy Jones is on. Tracy, did you want to mention anything?
I just wanted to thank you all for the opportunity and consideration of the Foundry project. The value, we're excited about the value that this can bring to Commerce City and to help local families, build intergenerational wealth and long-term assets. This is a great opportunity to for those first-time home buyers, and also, maybe not so much, just families that need something more affordable to have something attainable for generational living. So although this is Commerce City Housing Authority's first opportunity to administer and manage deed-restricted homeownership program, we bring a wealth of knowledge and skills in managing each of the fundamental phases of affordable housing. We also will be closing on the land banking piece of this next week for the Prop 123 grant funds. And so we're super excited about that. And again, we're just excited about this project and what it can mean for the city as far as homeownership.
Wonderful. Thank you, Lindsay and Tracy. Are there any questions from the board on the Foundry? Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and move on to the next project application, which is the IVES 2. And presenting is Pamela Gibson.
Thank you, Anthea. The IVES 2 will be a new rental property developed in Wheat Ridge by Foothills Regional Housing. Foothills has requested and staff has recommended funding in the amount of $1.85 million as a housing development grant. The building will be adjacent to the IVES 1, which was awarded DOH funding in 2022. The IVES IVES 2 property in total will consist of 98 units. This application covers funding for 44 of those units that were primarily financed with 4% tax credits in May of this year. The remaining 54 units were funded with 9% credits awarded last February. Residents will have access to a number of support services, including twice yearly financial literacy workshops offered through a memorandum of understanding with Red Rocks Community College. Project underwriter is Drew Stackhouse, and the asset manager is Jose Mozo. I'm pleased to introduce Dana Ashley Ohm, Foothills Regional Housing's Chief Real Estate and Development Officer.
Thank you so much, Pam, and thank you so much, Andrew, for all your underwriting. I know this is a group effort, and it also makes me feel great to hear all of your projects out there, because I feel like each one of us is making such an impact on the communities we work in, and I'm so proud of that. I like to call this IVES 2 an infill with potential project, right? We've got our 50 units at IVES 1 serving formerly homeless. We've got our IVES 2 application before you. And then we have room on this campus to build out another 100 units. So we see this work as evolving and also placemaking for the city of Wheat Ridge. I also kind of like to call it the BOGO deal, because by supporting these 44 units in the 4% deal, we're actually catalyzing the development of 98 units, because this is a twinned 4 and 9% deal. So we've put a lot of resources together to make sure we can maximize the density of this transit-oriented site. And to do so, I feel like we're kind of playing financial twister, right? We've spun a lot of wheels and we've moved ourselves around the playing board a little bit, but we have a great team supporting us in this endeavor, including Division of Housing. The City of Wheat Ridge is, I think, should be the poster child for a municipality supporting affordable housing. They've done everything in their power to help us bring this project forward, including donating the land that we're going to be building on at this site. Jefferson County has also been very supportive here, providing a little over 1.1 million in CDBG to support this. And then I can't stress enough, as a housing authority, you bring your own resources to bear in these projects. And we're bringing 17 project-based vouchers to this, which really, if you kind of look at the financing, brings an additional $3 million in loan proceeds to the project. So that's a very valuable tool. And then between the land carry note, the deferred developer fee, and the GP equity, we're also bringing another $2.6 million to the project. Obviously, we've been here 50 years. We're serving Jefferson County, and we believe in making these investments in our community. As Pam said, the team is the same as Ives 1. So we have the same architect, the same GC, who brought Ives 1 in under budget and on time, which is kind of unheard of. But we have a lot of trust in this team. We understand the site. We know how transformative it is to have residents living in a dynamic community. And at this site, they'll be living close to grocery stores, parks, rec centers, schools, all the things that make life in Jefferson County very, very wholesome and worth investing in. So we're excited for that and appreciate the fact that, you know, we've had to go through 3 tax credit cycles to get here. So, you know, the challenge of climbing this ladder isn't lost on us. And I know we've also gone through 2 rounds with DOLA. So we really appreciate everyone hanging with us and getting us to this point. Super excited, just had OAC today, and we're trying to close April 1. So don't anybody tell me it's April Fool's Day, because I know that.
Thank you. Thanks all for that presentation. Are there any questions from the board?
Hey, Anthea,
Okay.
this is LaDawn, and I had questions on Foundry, but I got disconnected from my internet. And by the time I got on my phone, you guys have moved on. Is it too late to ask those questions?
No, we can go back and ask the question on the Foundry. It sounds like I just want to give another few seconds here for anyone if they have anything on the Ives too. If not, we can move back to the Foundry. Go ahead, LaDawn. Thank you all.
Thanks, Anthea. Sorry, everyone with the Foundry. So you mentioned that this is your first time doing ownership projects with deed restricted. So I was just wondering if you could tell us a little bit about how you're communicating to the homeowners about the deed restriction to make sure they understand what they're purchasing.
Yes, we are working on putting together a packet. We've been doing some research and reaching out to other entities that administer deed restricted home ownership. And so we are putting together a packet that will be presented, that will be given to the homeowner at the very beginning of the process.
Okay. So right when they're applying for the mortgage and
Yes.
okay.
And as they show interest in the project, those things will be start being relayed at the very, very beginning.
And it shows how much equity they'll build over the years with living in that property.
So it will show a formula on how that will be calculated. So yes, all of that will be included.
Okay.
And with that, I'll just add, we are planning on teaming with a brokerage company that specializes in affordable housing. So far, we've talked to in Valesco, and so they're excellent. They know all the programs for home buyers, and they're excellent at answering questions along the way and communicating kind of all the ins and outs of these programs. So we're hoping the home buyers are very well educated.
Perfect. And then my other question is, how many parking spots are there?
Great question. We are planning on offering 2 spots per unit in this first phase. And then as future phases come online, we will respond to market conditions and see where we land.
Okay, so that would be 240 spots.
So the first phase is 36 units.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, I just noticed that 10% of them are for electric vehicles, and I just wanted to make sure there's plenty of parking for the people who do not drive electric vehicles.
Gotcha.
But it sounds like there is. Thank you. Thanks, Anthea.
No worries. Great question. Okay, moving on to the next project application. It's Blossom Commons, and Pamela Gibson will be presenting.
Yes, Volker Housing Partners is developing a 50-unit rental property for older adults in downtown Westminster. And they're requesting $900,000 from DOH. The land was donated by the Westminster Economic Development Authority and will hold a 60-year use covenant for affordability. The city's working to provide a pocket library and community meeting spaces in the commercial area on the ground floor. Volker will also be hiring a part-time services navigator to assist residents with transportation and educational resources. Sasha Neal is the project underwriter, and Jose Mozo is the asset manager. Joining us today is Lauren Shevitz, Volker's Managing Director of Development.
Thank you, Pam. Good afternoon, State Housing Board and staff. Thank you so much for your time today. It's greatly appreciated. My name is Lauren Shevitz, and I'm presenting on behalf of Volker Development today. We are requesting an HDG loan from the state of Colorado in the amount of $900,000 for the Blossom Commons community. Blossom Commons is a 50-unit affordable housing community for older adults aged 55 and older, located in the downtown Westminster redevelopment area. The project site is within a DOLA identified transit-oriented community and has convenient access to transportation, amenities, and other services. The community is being built in partnership with the city of Westminster, who is providing critical support for the project, including that land donation from the Economic Development Authority, fee waivers, and reimbursements. As Pam mentioned, they are also going to lease a small space on the ground floor for a community resource center or library. Other critical partners include CHAFA, Jefferson County, and Foothills Regional Housing Authority. Blossom Commons will serve individuals and couples earning between 30 to 70% of the area median income. 40% of the units are set aside for renters at or below 50% AMI. Per a recent housing needs assessment completed by the city, 82% of senior renters in Westminster are housing cost burdened or severely cost burdened, spending more than 30% of their income on rent. We are scheduled to close this project at the end of March and will break ground by early April of 2026. So we have a lot to say about the project, but I know we're short on time. Please let me know if you have any questions, and thank you so much for your consideration of this request.
Thank you, Lauren. Are there any questions from the board on Blossom Commons? I have a question for staff. Teresa, during our board retreat, you had mentioned, I believe, that the HDG funds were subject to BABA, and that the way that it currently stood, every single material item for the construction of the development needed to be built in America, and that was proving to be difficult. Has there been a change in that and am I correct that it is tied to HDG?
No,
and is
but
that
you're
still the
so
case?
you're so close on acronyms, and I have to say we all love our acronyms. So I think you're probably thinking about HTF, Housing Trust Fund. That is a federal source of funds. So HDG is a state source and does not trigger BABA. On the federal sources of funds, there has been no change, except that we do understand that HUD is more open to waivers. And so as we have new federal awards, which, we do not have our contract signed for this year. And so we expect to offer a very limited amount of federal funding based on previous year awards in February. We will still be evaluating BABA. We may, however, choose to submit waivers for certain projects.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you so much for that clarification, Teresa. Any questions from the board on this deal? Okay, hearing none, let's go ahead and move on. We are a little short on time, a little bit behind a schedule, I should say. Next up is the Sanctuary on Potomac, and presenting is Wayne McClary.
Okay, Sanctuary on Potomac is a new construction project in Aurora. Rental project in Aurora. Basically, it's right next to the Aurora Mental Health new campus that's scheduled to open in 2026. This will be 43 units, supportive housing, primarily serving 30 to 50% AMI units or AMI residents, targeting those that are chronically homeless in the population in Aurora, and with the focus on the mental health aspect. And the Housing Authority of Aurora is the applicant and the developer for this project. They're requesting about $550,000 to help fill their gap. This gap was evaluated by Lisa Blakeney, the underwriter, and Maya Contreras is the asset manager. Here to provide some more information is Martin Petroff from the Aurora Housing Authority.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Hope you can hear me. Thank you for this opportunity. And thank you to the team that went through 2 rounds before we can make it to Housing Board. I know we're short on time. I'm just going to touch on some of this. Why this is so important to us is currently more than 626 people in Aurora are experiencing homelessness. And across the state of Colorado, 1 in every 3 residents struggle with mental health conditions. So these numbers represent lives in crisis, and they underscore why projects like Sanctuary on Potomac are so critical. This is not just another development for us. This is our first permanent supportive housing project, and it's in collaboration with Aurora Mental Health and Recovery. And the goal is to create a true recovery campus where housing services and services are tied together, and they help people restart their lives and move toward independence. Currently, Aurora Mental Health has over 4,000 individuals on their waiting list, and Sanctuary on Potomac will provide 43 of them with safe, supportive housing and 24/7 access to care. As you can see from the photo, this will be a single 4-story building, 43 units. They're all 1-bedroom units. And this project is adjacent to the Aurora Mental Health. They're calling the Potomac Pavilion, which is their acute crisis center. It is set to open in January. And then we are coming online in August of next year. We are currently under construction, but we need DOH's help to close a critical funding gap so we can finish on time. Aurora Housing Authority is providing all 43 Section 8 vouchers for tenants. So that's huge help. Basically, this project is a model of collaboration and compassion. And we want to turn this into a reality and address one of Aurora's greatest challenges. So thank you for your time. Thank you for your consideration of this project.
Thank you, Martin. Appreciate that. Do we have any questions from the board? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to the last of the project applications, Blue Room House 1, and presenting is Joel Pavalis.
Good afternoon. Blue Room House 1 is requesting $700,000 for a project in the Santa Fe Arts District in Denver for 54 units. And this is for new construction rental for 30 to 80% AMI with the average at right around 60% AMI. A couple of unique things about this project is it is modular construction, which has some of its own cost savings built in for that. There will be a 2,000 square foot commercial space on site, and then also they are looking to implement a tenant equity vehicle for the project. So the underwriter was Lisa Blakeney, and the asset manager is Rob Murphy. And here to talk a little bit more about it is Ann Anderson and her team.
Hi there, everyone. Thank you to the DOLA team who has worked with us through 3 or 4 rounds of funding as our funding request as we went through this. They're family now. So we are an impact first developer. What that means is we were founded, we are minority owned and woman led. And Min Young Son, our founder, actually went out and interviewed 130 homeless people during COVID to understand the part in which he could play to make impact for decreasing the amount of homelessness that we see in our cities and states and using modular construction in place of LIHTC. So what we do is we pass along any of the savings that we get into lower rents. Our ambition is replication of team, process, model, partnerships to increase that savings. In fact, we're working on a coordinated scattered site phase 2 project with 2 housing authorities in the Denver metro area, which will be very exciting. We will also be studying this pilot and producing open source data to better serve the overall ecosystem. So from policy to process, really engaging with our P3 partners on what data collection we need to really bring together to support learnings overall for the ecosystem. As Joel said, we're serving 30 to 80% AMI, and that was our founder's vision for understanding how quickly that slippery slope will go from low to middle income earnings sliding into homelessness if we do not provide tourniquets such as Blue Room housing, where people can get ahead of debt and bruised credit. So therefore, the TEV program and the relationships that we're building with affordable home ownership provide or what we're hoping to do is provide a warm handoff to Habitat for Humanity or Elevation Community Land Trust for those of our renters that want to aspire to go on to home ownership. We are Bucks Modular. We specialize in urban infill, which are difficult spaces to fit 5 stories. We have 54 units. We are almost through permitting. So I guess the biggest thing is you guys are truly a gap funder that gets us across the wire. With this funding, we will complete our project in Q4 of 2026. We're through vital permitting. So that means, yeah, we can serve people in 2026. We are in a transportation opportunity zone as well. Okay. I think that hits about everything.
Thank you, Anne, and congratulations. It looks like this is the first project for Blue Room, so congratulations. It's not easy. And looking at your staff, you all have been doing a lot of work on this. Any questions from the board? LaDon?
So have there been many modular construction projects in the city of Denver?
Indeed, there have been.
Okay, good.
Adam Berger, who, because we're an impact first developer, we don't really compete with other developers. We kind of hold hands with them. So Adam Berger has done a great job. Just, I would say within a 2-mile up the road, he did West Holderness Place. And so we share learnings. We also are using Rise Modular, who did Minneapolis's coordinated scattered site. The reason why we're using them is because we will host Denver's first coordinated scattered site of multiple buildings, 6 different buildings, and they have the experience on that. And on that one, Rise will partner with Videra, a local.
Okay. I was just wondering if there's any delays anticipated with city reviews with them not understanding the type of project it is.
We had some great experience with AHART so far, LaDon. I don't know, for whatever that's worth for you guys, really great experience on getting through SDPs. We're in our 2nd round of construction drawing permitting, and there was very few things that we needed to address in the 1st round. As far as we are not anticipating any kind of delays from our standpoint.
Okay. And then my other question is, you mentioned that a portion of their rent will be able to be used towards a home ownership opportunity. When they have that opportunity, will they be allowed to have a buyer's agent? Because I know a lot of these programs, they are not allowed to have an agent representing them.
You know, LaDon, I can't answer that question right now. We partner with Elevation Community Land Trust as well as Habitat for Humanity, and it's more of them informing us of how we can iron out any kind of glitches or how can we help make this a seamless process from when they graduate from us and they have if they've used their TEV program to do savings, how can we early qualify them based on the process that those two organizations do? Does that help? So I can't answer that particular question.
Okay.
They could probably better answer that or help us with that.
Thank you.
I could add another layer there, and thank you for the question, and good to see you, Wayne and Joel. Thank you guys so much. With our mission, by design, we want to use modular because we believe that we can drive lower cost of construction over time. Critical to that is working with you all and other authorities to get low-cost funding to amplify the savings that we can then convert total cost of construction to lower savings by having lower financing. We wanted to support TEV up front and would love to look for additional ways to do that in all future projects. But by design, I'm hoping that Blue Room Housing, each of our units can create at least a $400 per month savings for a comparable unit within, again, these walkable corridors. And by nature, if that resident of ours can save $5,000 a year, over 3 years, they naturally build a nest egg to be able to transition to their next stage. At the same time, as Anne mentioned, we do have programs in our pilot. And as we grow and hopefully have more success, we will definitely seek to add as much value as we can to these projects outside of just the delivery of the building. But we definitely want to create programming or support that however thoughtfully we can without stepping on toes.
That's great. Thank you.
I have a question, and you mentioned that the founder had interviewed several homeless individuals during COVID, and it looks like the population served is family justice involved, which I honestly don't really know what that means. And then your unit mix is mainly 60% AMI. So I'm trying to connect the dots here. If you can help me out a little bit with what sort of population you're targeting.
Yeah, happy to. Tyler might enjoy this. We actually have been working with the Buell Foundation on the number of early childhood centers that are located within a 5-mile to 10-mile radius and on our transportation line zones for light rail. And a good portion of these, Buell feels that they could take 25 of these units for early childhood learning center staff. So that, those early childhood learning centers pay their teachers less than a parking lot attendant in downtown Denver. So we're looking at, housing the 30%, filling those with those early childhood teachers. But there's also been some incentives for $50,000 pay for those teachers as well. So we'll be studying both those AMIs in that category with the 50% AM or the $50,000. I'm sorry, it's not 50% AMI, $50,000 a year. So that brings us into the those higher AMI categories that will also be studying how the TEV program worked. But I'm sorry, Anthea, your question, I think
Yeah, if I can jump in, I think
it's-
she asked about family justice and at those levels to reconcile our AMI and mission. I think we want to start first by providing the lowest available housing. Ultimately, we're trying to build three-dimensional volumetric space that people can call home. We think modular manufacturing is a path to achieve that. As far as the lower AMIs, we started thinking about for a person making $25 hourly, it's $50,000. What does 30% get you? And work backwards. And so modular provides us the vehicle to do that. As far as some of the other really supportive housing, like stuff that Mr. Petrov is doing with Aurora, I love that. I don't see us as having the the experience to be able to provide that level of service. But what we would like to do is provide, again, housing infrastructure that housing authorities or other program providers can then use as a foundation to launch and go. So everything that everyone's talked about, the homeless community is wonderful. I did do a homeless documentary. It's at a website called theoctoberexperiment.com. It was during October 2020 when we launched Blue Room Housing. And what we learned was just the margin at which people live before they fall into homelessness. And again, modular construction at the heart of it felt like a path where we could provide an ultimate incentive for people to want to work. Is if their paycheck can afford the rent check, then we think that this is a great foundation to grow with communities at the economic development level.
Got it. Well, thank you for that response. And I guess maybe more of a comment for Joel, since you're the staff who was working on this. If it's family justice involved, so if we're targeting families here, I think the disconnect for me is in what I'm reading, where it's targeting families, but majority at 60% AMI and majority, most of the units are studios, so not family units. Maybe just clarifying some of that language in the write-up would be helpful. I still have a bit of a disconnect, but I do not want to take up any more time. LaDawn?
I still have the same disconnect, but like you, do not want to take up any more time because I'm not
Okay.
understanding the family justice involved piece, but
Yeah,
but
follow up with an email response to the board on this one. Thank you all.
thank
That
you.
would be helpful, Teresa. And I'd say we're going to hit pause here for all of those involved on the project application stage. Since this is a really long agenda today, I don't want to keep you all waiting for the voting stage. So we'll go ahead and do that now. So the comment would be on Blue Room House 1 that staff follows up and clarifies the disconnect that we're having with it being a family project, but having studio units and 60% AMI, and just how connect the dots for us, please. A few other comments before we get into the voting. Ryan is recusing himself from Ives. James Martinez is Ryan Moses's proxy today. Is there anybody else that needs to recuse themselves from any of these projects that have been presented? Okay. Well, taking into account those comments, I'd like to ask for a motion for approval for Poplar Commons, Flower Mill, Canyon Vista, Wintrail Park, Tierra Azul, the Foundry, the Ives 2, Blossom Commons, Sanctuary on Potomac, and Blue Room House 1, once with the clarifications coming on that.
So moved. This is
No.
LaDawn.
Excuse me. I thought the Canyon one was removed.
It was, so that happened last night, so we'll exclude that from the vote. It will be
Okay.
voted on January
Thank you,
20th.
Candace.
Yeah.
So exclude Canyon. Thank you for that catch.
And I'll second that motion if you didn't have that before I cut in.
Okay, all those in favor signified by aye or a hand raise.
Aye.
Aye. Is anybody opposed to how we are proposing to move forward here into this vote of approval? Okay, thank you all for your time, for your presentations. Thank you, staff, for all of your work on this. We are going to dig into the next part of the meeting here, which is the home ownership program application. And I'm not sure who's going to be presenting on this, but we are going to tackle this as a batch.
Hi, I'm Chris Peterson. I'm one of the asset managers with the homeownership team, and I will be presenting on this batch today, and just want to give a quick summary on this slide and the following slide. Through this application round, we received 12 applications. Total funding requested was over 26 million. That would have created assistance for both down payment assistance and single family owner occupied rehab for over 400 households. Unfortunately, we only had 9 million to give. So we have a total of 10 applications that we're presenting today, 7 of which are down payment assistance, totaling 6,150,000. And that's anticipated to provide down payment assistance to 140 households. We also have 3 single family owner occupied rehab applications. Recommended awards for that total $2,850,000 and should provide rehabilitation to up to 46 homes. I also just want to throw in there that we did look at each application, every agency, and when we were creating our funding recommendations, we wanted to ensure that they had enough funds to at least get them through 1 year of their program. Obviously, we couldn't fund all of them for 2 or 3 years, although we really wanted to. But those applicants that are approved will be able to return during future funding cycles and reapply for additional funding. I believe we have representatives from each agency listed in the 2 slides, and they would be happy to answer questions along with any questions you have for our team.
Thank you, Christine. Do we have any questions here, board members? LaDawn.
Just in general, I was wondering if there's been a decrease in the down payment assistance requests in the past year.
You know, we are not seeing a decrease. The amounts that we had previously with other funding sources was also lower. So with AHOP and Prop 123, we can go up to 20% of the purchase price. So I think funding has definitely increased, but also the requests for down payment assistance have been increasing, along with most of what our homeownership team has been working on over the past few years.
Okay, that's good because overall sales in the United States have dropped. So I wasn't sure if we have seen that decrease as well.
You know, I don't think that we're seeing it. I know quite a few of our contracts or agreements that we have currently, they're running out of funding very much or more quickly than we had anticipated to begin with. So we are cycling through those funds very quickly. And along with our rehab also, we have some applicants who are actually removing their admin funds to put into rehab just to keep the program going and be able to assist these households.
And do we track any demographics of the people requesting down payment assistance? So the average age of a first-time home buyer is now 39 years old. So have we seen an increase in the average age of people requesting funds for down payment assistance?
You know, we do not track specific ages, but we can go back to our beneficiary reports and get more information for you.
I was just curious. No need to do that.
Okay.
LaDawn, I will say, right, we are seeing marketing challenges sometimes with new builds and on the development side, but for this product, as well as our owner-occupied rehab product, the demand is actually very much there in some ways because these are so preferential to the market and helping people take advantage of some of the opportunities that are opening up. And so particularly on the homeownership program side, I just want to reiterate the demand here is very strong.
That's great. I don't have any more questions.
And I'm just going to piggyback on that a little bit, Teresa, to that comment you just made. There have been times where we've seen these applications and there have been funds that have remained and haven't been spent, that you're just not seeing that these days. Is that right?
We're not seeing that across the board. So I will say there are some applicants where the way previous awards were structured, we are seeing sort of slower draws. And those are actually identified. If you look at each of the pro cons for these, you can see there are some issues. But I would say generally speaking, the demand for our down payment assistance and our single family owner occupied products are very high because they are so preferential to what we're seeing in the market. Chris, I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
You know, the one thing I was going to add is that one of our applicants who currently is on this list and one other one, they are seeing such high demand, one in down payment and one in single family owner occupied rehab, that the numbers are increasing. And both of them have had programs with us for years and years. And it just keeps increasing for them.
I think the only other thing I would add for your knowledge, Anthea, is that we also have benchmarks now. So there are kind of performance measurements that we're expecting to see in order for agencies to hit before they can come to us for additional funds. So it's helped because we have such high demand for this funding. we have put those in place. So there isn't money just sitting out there, or money is just being underutilized, because we know there's high demand. So we wanted to, that is something new that we have changed over the past year to help.
Fantastic. That's a great change. Thanks, Ariel. Thank you all for that response. Are there, we have a few others in this category too. Should we jump to those? There we go. Are there any other questions from the board on this batch? Or anything else, Christine, that you wanted to highlight on these?
No, thank you so much for your time and letting me rush through this with you.
Likewise, appreciate it. Okay, well, out of respect for all of these individuals' times, then I would like to vote on those deals that were just presented as a batch as well before we get into the private activity bond portion of the meeting. So if that is okay with everybody, I don't hear anyone screaming in opposition.
I'd make a
Like to
motion
add-
that we approve the down payment assistance home ownership program applications as presented. This is Candace.
This is Monique. I second that.
Thank you, Candace, for that motion and Monique for the second. All those in favor signified by aye or a hand raise.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you all. I am a little bit backwards here, but is there anyone who had to recuse themselves from any of these? Okay. Sorry for that bad order there, but thank you all. Thanks for that approval and congratulations to the awardees. Next up is the private activity bonds. Lisa Blakeney will be presenting.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Lisa Blakeney, the Private Activity Bond Program Manager here at DOH. I know time is limited, so I'll be as brief as possible. To start, I'd like to provide a brief overview of private activity bonds, or PABs, for those on the call who aren't familiar or need a quick refresher. PABs are bonds issued by or on behalf of state and local governments to finance projects that primarily benefit private entities or non-governmental users, but are considered to have a significant public benefit. The key benefit is interest earned by bondholders is exempt from federal income tax, allowing the private entity to borrow at a lower interest rate than a standard corporate bond. The debt is repaid by the private entity or from the project's revenues, not by the government issuer, which typically acts as a conduit. The bonds are highly regulated under the federal tax code with strict tests and an annual state volume cap limit to ensure that they are used for qualified private activities. In short, PABs are a tool for private developers and organizations to access lower cost, tax-exempt financing for projects that Congress has determined serve an essential public purpose. The Department of Local Affairs and the Division of Housing, DOH, role regarding private activity bonds is primarily to administer Colorado's annual PAB volume cap, the federal limit on the total amount of these tax-exempt bonds the state may issue. In essence, DOLA and DOH manages the distribution and tracking of this limited resource throughout the state, as well as management and award recommendations for the statewide balance allocations and relinquishment PABs. Sorry, hold on. This year, the state's PAB allocation cap of $12.7 million was awarded across 2 projects in 2 counties. DOH is recommending that the state's PAB relinquishment cap of $23 million and change be awarded across 5 projects in 3 counties. This will bring the total statewide balance awards to $35.8 million across 7 projects in 5 counties in 2025. For more detailed information regarding the statewide balance PAB application award criteria and process, please see pages 2, 3, and 4 of the PAB packet. Also in the packet are the PAB year-end reports, which include the 2025 local use summary, the 2025 authority use summary, total current balance by issuer, and the bonds issued in 2025. The bonds issued by type chart shows historical data from 2020 through 2025. The PAB State Housing Board complete packet will be uploaded to the PAB website following today's presentation. So now let's move on to the projects under consideration. And what you're seeing on the slide is the summary per project and the recommendation for awards. Okay, so I'll present all the projects and then allow for questions and the board's vote. The first project is a 34th Street project with Boulder Housing Partners. The new construction project will create 44 townhome units with 1, 2, and 3 bedroom options, providing affordable housing in Boulder. Affordability will be 6 units at 40% of the area median income and 38 units at 60% of AMI. All units will have ground level entry, private outdoor space, and bicycle storage. All units will be fully electric. There will be 2 fully accessible units and 12 visitable units, each with 0-step entrances and accessible first floor living areas to accommodate visitors with disabilities. Low-income housing tax credits are expected in January 2026. The target closing date for this project is June 2026. There is strong community support, including both soft debt and grants. The project was previously awarded $4 million of statewide balance PAB cap and is requesting an additional $2 million in this application round. DOH is recommending awarding the full request, bringing the PAB total as a percentage of the aggregate basis to 45%, which will help secure the 2026 closing date. Next up is the Highlands Ranch Senior Affordable Apartments with Douglas County Housing Partnership and Shea Properties as a developer. This is an age-restricted, 55 and older, new construction project that will create 165 units, all available at 60% or below AMI. There are 121 bedroom units and 45 2-bedroom units. Located on the last remaining residential parcel in Highlands Ranch, the project offers a unique opportunity to serve Douglas County's growing senior population. The project will include 9 ADA accessible units. These units will feature roll-in showers, lowered countertops, accessible appliances, and maneuverable layouts. All ground floor units and common areas are designed to be visitable, accessible, and environmentally sustainable. Low-income housing tax credits are expected in June 2026. The target closing date for this project is July 2026. Douglas County is supporting this project with a portion of its 2025 PAB allocation cap and the full projected 2026 allocation. The equity investor is in place with a letter of interest dated October 27th at 85 cents per unit. The Highlands Ranch Senior Project is the only new age-restricted low-income housing tax credit supply in the pipeline within the primary market area. The project is visible from C-470, a high-traffic highway, which is beneficial for marketing. The request is for $4.5 million, bringing the PAB total as a percentage of the aggregate basis to 45% and helping secure the 2026 closing date. DOH is recommending awarding the full request. Douglas County Housing Partnership also applied for pipeline projects, Woodlands Crossing in Castle Rock, and the North Douglas County School site. Both are new construction projects. Woodlands Crossing is adding 176 units, and the school site is adding 132 affordable housing units. The request for statewide balance PABs is $7 million. DOH staff recommends a no funding award for this application round. DOH is awarding a Douglas County project in this round, but both of these pipeline projects will close after the projects recommended for award to date. The decision aligns with the statewide balance PAB application review criteria. The school site is currently on pause due to negotiations regarding land use. The land is currently designated for future school construction. A new school was constructed in proximity to the North Douglas County School site, so there is no longer a need for a new school on that site. Neither project has applied for low-income housing tax credits to date. While unit counts were made available, bedroom configurations and AMIs are unknown for both projects. DCHP is encouraged to apply for statewide balanced PABs in one of the 3 application rounds in 2026. And then finally, wrapping up projects for consideration is the City and County of Denver. They submitted a pipeline project application for statewide balanced PABs for 3 projects: for Civic Center Apartments, Townview Apartments, and Green Valley Vista. Civic Center Apartments is a project with Colorado Coalition for the Homeless, with 216 units at 30 to 60% AMI. Townview Apartments is a project with Rocky Mountain Communities with 160 units at 40 to 80% AMIs. And Green Valley Vista is a project with Brickwell and Denver Housing Authority with 156 units at 30 to 70% AMI. The complete breakdown of units is included in the City and County of Denver's ProCon, which is included in the packet. Overall, the need for affordable housing in Denver is substantial, given high housing costs and rents that continue to rise. Civic Center is a historic renovation rehabilitation with an estimated closing date in the second quarter of 2026. Townview is new construction with an estimated closing date in early fourth quarter 2026. Green Valley Vistas is a new construction with an estimated closing date in the third quarter of 2026. All 3 projects have equity investors lined up and current letters of intent were provided, or interest, sorry. DOH is recommending awarding the remaining statewide balance relinquishment PABs of approximately $16.6 million, which is almost the full amount requested, to facilitate the creation and/or preservation of 532 total units, which include 316 units of affordable family housing and 216 units of permanent supportive housing. And with that, rushing through, I will turn it back to Anthea, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much. Do we have any questions? LaDon.
I feel like I'm the new Sam. You see if there's any questions and I like ding. So I thought at the beginning you said something about 5 projects, but there's only 4 here.
I was actually talking about across 2025.
Okay.
And Denver has 3. I mean, they have 3 pipeline projects. And then there's the Boulder and the
Got
DC.
it. Oh yeah, okay.
So it's 5, yeah.
It's 5. It's just okay.
No worries.
And then it's going to Boulder, Douglas, and Denver counties. So 3
Yes,
different
correct.
counties. Okay, great. Thank you.
Sure.
Ryan?
Yeah, this is, are we voting on this?
Yes.
And okay, I'm sorry, I was remiss. I forgot that I had to recuse myself from the BHP deal as well.
Okay, the Boulder Housing Partners.
Yes.
Okay.
And I need to recuse myself from the Greenview one. Any other questions from the board? I did have a question. I believe it was on the previous screen. I was curious why some of the projects had tax credits and some of them didn't. I would think you would need that tax credit award in hand before applying, but am I wrong in that?
The award is that they will have applied and done their initial application, and that is true of the 34th Street and the senior housing in Douglas County. And actually, the other 2 pipeline projects for Douglas County, they hadn't even applied yet for LIHTC. So that's why a large part of why there was no funding recommendation. And also they would close in, really late 2026, maybe, and probably 2027. And the City and County of Denver they have all of their ducks in a row as far as LIHTC. They've done their initial application. They're expecting their awards within 2026 in order to close in 2026. So I'm not sure. Does that answer it, or can I?
It does answer.
Okay.
It's not required. I thought you needed that in hand, but it sounds like you don't. So thanks for clarifying that.
Sure thing.
Any other questions from the board before we vote? Okay, can I ask for a motion for approval for the private activity bonds applications as presented?
Do we need to do them separate since Ryan has to recuse himself?
That is a good point.
Or do we have a quorum to do it without Ryan's vote?
So I'm recusing from from Greenview and Ryan is recusing from the Boulder deal. Was it all the Boulder deals, Ryan?
Just one, the first one there.
The first one. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the two in the middle, the Douglas County Housing Partnership Pipeline Projects and Highlands Ranch Senior. I can ask for a motion of approval for that one.
So moved.
Thanks, James.
I'll second. It's Candace.
Thanks, Candace. All those in favor signified by aye or hand raised.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, those two pass. So next up, let's do the Housing Authority of the City of Boulder. If I can have a motion for approval.
So moved.
Oops, second.
All those in favor signify by aye or hand raise.
Aye.
Aye.
Is anybody opposed? Okay, and Ryan is recusing himself. And then I will recuse myself from the City and County of Denver pipeline projects. If I can ask for a motion of approval.
So moved.
Second.
The second by Monique. All those in favor signify by aye or hand raise.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? And I'm recusing myself. Wonderful. Thanks for calling that out, LaDon. And appreciate y'all's time. I hope that everybody has a lovely holiday. Thank you all for your patience as we powered through this meeting. Thank you for all these great presentations and all the work done on them, and for all the work done this year by all of the staff, all of the developers on board, all of the board members on board. Y'all are so amazing and are very much appreciated. So happy holidays to all.
Happy holidays.
Great projects. Happy holidays, everyone.
Do we have any end of year stats that shows like how many units were preserved, how many were created, things like that?
What an awesome question, LaDon. So our next meeting is January 20th, and I promise I will get you some graphs to go along with that with a little brief overview of what we did in 2025. Though, as you know, we go by fiscal years, so that is what our annual report will be based on.
Okay.
Great question. All right. Well, rest up, everybody. Thanks all.
Thanks all. Take care.
Bye-bye.